Hi, everyone. Welcome to Green Talks. It's Exomad Green's podcast to let you know everything from our latest updates to the latest news. I'm here today with George, Director of Supply. George, welcome.
Great to be here, Francesco. Good to speak to you. And also really excited to be announcing another partnership between Exomad Green and Supercritical. Let's go again. It's the third year running that we've been working with each other, and the numbers are growing, which is really exciting. So maybe I should just kind of give the headlines of the deal, which is that we've signed a 3-year agreement for up to 500,000 tons of credits, and that's securing all of the remaining 2026 inventory and also allocations for 27 and 28. We obviously have been working together, Francesco, you and I, for a long time, and we kind of love working with Exomad. But I think, the reason that we wanted to kind of extend this partnership is because we know that buyers have real near-term procurement targets. They're not just waiting until 2030. And so we definitely see kind of demand in the base market growing over the next couple of years, especially as we start to see SBTI targets kick in 2028. And so for us, this agreement is really about making sure that there is those supply for the kind of demand that's coming. But I guess, Francesco, from your side, like what kind of excites you about this partnership?
Yeah, this partnership is amazing. It's a continuation of what we have started a long time ago. And you're right, the market is moving from promise to performance. I think right now, most of the companies are relying on supply you can count on. So I guess there has been a lot of under deliveries, delivery shortfalls. Now I believe the market is maturing, and it's starting to move towards like a more serious conversation. Say like, hey, let's bet on what is actually working. So we, from our side as Exomad, we have seen that demand, and probably you're too, so with Supercritical, that this demand is actually growing, taking away the let's say like the legacy players and buyers in the market. You can still see growth, and that for us shows us that we have the right type of partnership, the right type of performance, because there's a lot of interest in what we're doing, right? So it's amazing how this partnership started. I still remember our first transactions. Then it grew to our first offtake agreement, really small, 3,000 tons a year.
Mm.
But then it just kept growing. And one day I remember that call. I don't know, you came to Bolivia. Then
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
conversation we need to have. And yeah, I remember that you came to Bolivia, and then from one day to the other is like, hey, what's everything you have left, right? You
Well,
remember that time?
I remember being on the ground in Concepcion in Bolivia, and just like a few things really striking me walking around. Number one was the scale. It was the biggest site that I'd seen, and just driving around and seeing Exomad trucks ferrying biomass, all around, and also the engagement with the community. So so many people, as you walk around Concepcion, would talk about the reduced air pollution or the increased crop yield, and being able to actually go onto the ground and see that was kind of really special. So yeah, I loved my time there, and also a fun team, obviously, Francesco. I remember like that dinner just before we were about to kind of sign the deal, where there was a guy singing, and somehow you guys managed to convince me to get up and sing. So
Yeah.
luckily, despite that, we did manage to close the deal. But yeah, to think like back then, um, that was the kind of start of our partnership, really. And what we were saying is, we can give you access to the biggest buyers and scalable sales. And now to look back, having together sold like 100,000 tons is really kind of exciting.
Yeah, yeah. That was incredible. Now in hindsight, I really see the amazing work you guys been doing. When I see the details of it, it's a very something that really strikes me is the granularity. you get all these very like small transactions ranging from 150 corks to 500, and it's just the granularity of this amazing capability you have reached with an amazing sales team to just go out there and I've seen that you have on the larger side buyers that we have been catching on with the time, consultancies, automotive. But from the beginning, there was a strong base of kind of a retail sale, like a boutique sale of these very small, medium European companies that have been consistently growing on their purchases. So, yeah, I mean, it's something very interesting about Supercritical that I've seen that it's a tremendous effort to just go about these huge amounts we have been transacting and just having a very consistent pace of sales, and that for us is something we really recognize from the supercritical team. And well, yeah, as we scale, it's of course this partnership scales. I mean, this year we have a record breaking of 320,000 tons delivered so far, and I think if I look also in hindsight, the challenges of growing, it's always been, of course, the industrial capability, how to scale it, how to maintain the quality, and think that we've been able to do so. But from the sales side, it has Supercritical also has been an amazing partner to accompany this growth, right?
Yeah, so Francesco, I guess that got me thinking. I mean, you guys know better than anyone else that setting up a biochar facility is hard. We at Supercritical pulled data that said that actually only half of the biochar credits that were forecast for delivery in 25 actually got delivered. And that's for loads of reasons, right? But in that same period, Exomad actually doubled year on year. We jointly have sold to Fortune 500 buyers in consulting, in aviation, in financial services. So I guess like take me back to the early days of Exomad as you were trying to get this off the ground. Like what were those kind of startup challenges that you guys faced?
Yeah, I remember at the beginning it was really just trying to understand the market. You know, I tried to understand who was actually buying, trying to understand the product itself, and more than anything, building on it. Right. First, we didn't have an idea what the quality of biochar was like and what was the threshold, so we had to solve that out. Then we didn't have even the machinery for producing with forestry residues biochar. I mean, we were working with rice husk machinery, so we had to retrofit it. It was completely different, right? So, but it was never meant to be a pilot. This was is actually always designed to be a product in complete scale. We never really did like to call ourselves a startup. So the idea is we went at it hard with a lot of risk taking attitude, and that's what I can say was also the hard part because we risked a lot. There was a lot of risk involved, and the challenge was first to develop a product, then to find the quality thresholds, the minimum quality thresholds, achieve them, and then give a step further. Then there's another challenge there, right? To
Yeah.
set up the benchmark of the industry in terms of biomass sustainability protections, in terms of biochar quality, in terms of production, in terms of then sales, which we did together and with another partners, and that's very important. Each part had their own like a story that goes building itself. It had a challenge: how to increase this, how to go from A point to A to B faster, better, while maintaining quality, and that was probably the what I can say is the biggest challenge of growing, right? So that's I can say, and if you ask me what would you tell the other projects that are now starting, which is a question I get a lot. I would say focus on the project, and also an important part that we said also in, if especially for biochar, is like you need to have expertise on your biomass. We have plenty of industrial capability uh, in forestry long before we started biochar. It's 11 years before. So we kind of leverage off this expertise, and we kind of it kind of like Exomad just got a spun off, a division that spun off of Exomad. So if you're DAX, you should have spun off an energy company. If you do biochar from corn husk, it should be an agricultural company to really understand your suppliers, to really understand the market and everything. And yeah, that's something I can say about that. And but something also caught me attention there. And now my question to you is like, how does Supercritical support new projects with all
Yeah,
this?
it's interesting. I was just as you were talking there, Francesco, I was kind of reflecting on like the growth journey that you guys have been, but actually, as you said, in some ways you have had a kind of a head start in knowing the biomass really, really well, but also in kind of spinning Exomad Green out of an existing company, and therefore that financing question, although challenging, like is a little bit more solvable for you guys, because I guess when we speak to biochar companies and like I guess myself and my team must speak to like 50 to 100 biochar companies each month. The things that you can almost like set your watch by is that people talk about this chicken and egg problem, right? Like the demand, the off takers and the buyers want to see the financing, the financiers want to see the offtake, and you get caught in this kind of chicken and egg problem. And then the second one being, we know what the registries tell us is the minimum quality standards, but how do we shape our project so that it's super attractive to buyers? And you already started speaking about some of that stuff, Francesco, about having your lab on site so that you can prove quality, and just those kind of small things which make a difference to buyers. And so that's actually one of the reasons that we've started working much earlier stage with projects under the supercritical development program, and starting to break that cycle. And so instead of a chicken and egg, what we do is we come in and we commit to a project early, which kind of breaks that chicken and egg cycle. So we're proving the demand early, and also helping them to start to shape their project in this early stage so that it can be bought by the biggest buyers. Because there's such a difference between hitting the minimum climate science standards and actually being attractive to the biggest buyers. And so that's what we're really looking to try and do, because, Exomad's growth journey has been incredible, right? But to get to 2030 to 2040 to 2050 targets, we need many more projects than just Exomad kind of pulling the industry along and making sure that there is enough there is enough quality supply. And so what we're hoping is that in the future that there are more Exomads of your kind of scale, Francesco, and more people that are kind of coming up on your coattails to mean that this is an industry which can get to where it needs to be in those types of scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, I
And
guess like from your perspective as a market leader, what do you see going forward in the CDR market? What do you see as the kind of trends? What do you think is going to be shifting and changing over the next few years?
well, I think that as we said, we're going to enter a maturity phase, and that's where delivery is going to count. Because I remember when I entered, there was a lot of talk, a lot of things that happened to be at the time something like a trend, but now people are looking for certain variables, right? And the variables are very hard. It's like, is it delivering? Is it high quality? Is it high integrity? Can I see the effects on the ground? It becomes like a checklist. And I see that this checklist is going to be moving along the future. And then right now we're transitioning checking the big tick box, like, does it have credits? Is it actually producing? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because proof of concept, many projects are giving. So the idea is that they're gonna say, okay, it's working, but I want to buy. Like, here it
Yeah.
is. So and the growth, I think we have entered that path. And what's coming in the future, I believe, is that we're happily seeing new players we have never seen, and you've seen it in the mails we get that arrive every week. We're seeing earlier that we can sell more at the beginning of the year, the next year, and then we're seeing a lot of interest from players we never heard that they were in the market. And actually, we did a calculation the other day, and we have like around 10 to 12 companies whose first purchase was Exomad Green, and then they started buying, but 10. So that's an
Wow.
impressive number, right? And
That's incredible.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, we're happy to see that. So there's something always a little bit of negativity. That's, oh, it's always the usual suspects, but we don't believe that. We believe that the market is full of new entrants, and as we approach 2030, I believe we're going to see a lot of new entrants,
Yeah.
and the ones who are going to have, like we said, the that bucket with all the check markets. Then they're the ones that are gonna be benefit. Yeah, and
Yeah. 100% agree with you on, delivery is like the number one hygiene factor. Like if it's, if it's not delivered, it's not delivering any value. And I think that that is something which is, as you will know, just operationally so difficult to solve in those early years because you haven't done it before. You don't know the pitfalls yet. And so working with a partner that does have experience can be kind of super useful in that stage to try and see ahead of the curve a little bit.
yeah,
I guess like talking of new things, scaling, etc. I guess Francesco, you guys are nearing kind of opening a new facility. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we should have by the end of the year, we should have already. I mean, we're 90% complete. We have 90% completion on civil works in Riberalta. No, Riberalta, Guarayos. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and in Guarayos, we should be issuing by have our first issue by October, November. So yeah, we were really close. It's a massive facility. The roofing is being finished as we speak, and it's a factory is going to have a capacity of 320,000 corks yearly.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's massive. Hopefully, we'll see you there for the inauguration, right?
Oh, I would love that. Any excuse to another Bolivia trip. I'm
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and a question from my side, like, what's next on Supercritical's?
Yeah, lots to be getting on with. I think May and June are going to be a big one in terms of being out in the industry, meeting people. So we're going to be at Carbon Unbound New York in the 19th and 20th of May. And in the run up to that, we'll be participating in the Unbound Summit webinar. So that's alongside Randy from Google, and Michelle's going to be there talking about, how to get kind of removal right. And then looking ahead to June, that's kind of like one of our biggest events, the Carbon Removal London 2026, built to last. So that's really about getting kind of industry leaders in a room, talking about the shared challenges. I think those shared challenges are different from what they were a couple of years ago. But obviously, as the industry continues to mature, new challenges emerge. So it's really about thinking, getting industry leaders in the room, thinking about how we drive the market forward and creating the conditions to hit our targets in 28 and 2030 and onwards. So yeah, if you're at Carbon Unbound, come see us. If you're at Carbon Removal London, then definitely come see us. And yeah, I'm also, Francesco, just excited to kick off this partnership officially, get going
Mhm.
again. And yeah, it's kind of super exciting that we're working together again.
Yeah, yeah, great, great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we also have some agenda of events. We're going to be in Zurich Climate Week. we're gonna be also in London. You know, where we have we're part of the of Supercritical's event too, and also we have we're waiting also for New York Climate Week, and I think we're gonna be also in Outbound, but I need to confirm that information. But yeah, also we're happy to have continued this partnership this year also, and there's other two to come that are also there, you know, so let's keep on, and happy to have this conversation, these new insights. Hopefully it will be useful for the people who are listening, and yeah, I don't know if you have any final thoughts.
No, let's get to work. Let's get started.
Yeah, yeah, well, have a great day, George.
You too, Francesco. Thanks so much.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.